Writing is hard work, and when you need to write, motivation might feel impossible to access. But here's what most people get wrong. You can't find motivation. You have to activate it. And in this video, I'm going to share 3 strategies to activate your motivation easier and faster when you don't feel like writing. And if we haven't met, hello, my name is Crystal Heron. I'm a trained biomedical scientist turned clinical researcher and now scientific and medical editor. And since 2011, I've helped scientists, clinicians, and medical communicators write with intention, clarity, and confidence. So sometimes I'm not motivated to write, and I hear this same thing from my clients and my students all the time. But here's the thing about motivation. You can't find motivation. You have to activate it. Now, some people like to say build motivation or create motivation. I like activate because motivation comes after action, not the other way around. Motivation does not spark action. Action sparks motivation. So I'm going to share a strategy that you can use to activate your motivation when you don't feel like writing. And then I'll share 2 things you can do to make that activation easier and faster. So, what is the strategy? Commit to writing for just 10 minutes. Now, hear me out because this strategy works for me every time. When you don't feel like writing or you're not motivated to write, commit to just 10 minutes. And often that's enough time to get you past the hurdle and into motivation. I use this strategy all the time. For example, I didn't feel motivated to work on a manuscript over the weekend. I told myself that if I just work on it for 10 minutes, that will get me going. And it was enough to get me invested and motivated to keep writing. And before I knew it, several hours had passed and I made great progress. Now, when I don't feel motivated to clean out my inbox, I use the same strategy. I commit to replying to emails for just 10 minutes. And I often make more progress than I realized, and I have the motivation to keep going. So when you don't feel motivated to write, commit to writing for just 10 minutes. And that'll be enough to activate your motivation to continue writing after those 10 minutes are up. Now, because I know that I might feel unmotivated to write, I like to think about how I can make the most of those 10 minutes so that I have more forward momentum in activating my motivation. So there are 2 strategies that I like to use to catalyze my motivation or really set myself up for success in those 10 minutes. And the first strategy is to plan ahead. When I don't know what the plan is, it's easy to get overwhelmed and not know where to start and lose motivation or lose the ability to activate my motivation. And so what I do and what I recommend you do is write down exactly what you want to accomplish during each writing session. Every task, be as specific as possible. For example, depending on how much time you allot, you might plan to outline your introduction section or write your abstract or draft your manuscript title, whatever the tasks are. And I like to write these tasks right in my calendar. So some people write them in a project management tool or on a sticky note on their desk. I rely heavily on my calendar and I use time blocking for project and time management in addition to a project management tool. But I don't want to have to check another tool when I sit down to write because it's just another deterrent from activating my motivation. So I put tasks right in my calendar in the notes part of the scheduled time block. And depending on what you accomplish, you might need to move tasks around to different days, and that's okay, even expected. But the key is to write the tasks down. And when you plan ahead with specific tasks, you don't have to think about an overwhelming project and all the tasks you need to complete for that project and which task you should tackle first during that specific allotted writing time. you can just jump right into the task at hand. And that can help you to really catalyze your motivation in those first 10 minutes. Now, the second strategy that I like to use is to leave bookmarks for myself. So at some point, you have to stop writing, whether you go to a meeting or to sleep or to other activities that you have in your life, you will have to stop writing at some point. But when you are in the zone of writing, you often have ideas or a vision of where things will go next. And in these moments, I recommend leaving notes to yourself for next time so you know where you left off, what you were thinking about at the time, and you know the next steps that you planned to take at that time. And you can type these details right into the document that you're working on, either within the text or in a comment on the side. Or if you're really running late, you can send yourself a voice memo on the way to your next meeting or on your way to the car to go home. I've actually found that to be a really helpful strategy. And once you get distance from the text, you might change your mind and want to go in a new direction, and that's not uncommon, but you will at least have the notes there so that you can pick up right where you left off and get faster momentum to continue writing. So when you are not feeling motivated to write, activate that motivation by committing to spending just 10 minutes on your writing. And you can activate that motivation faster and easier by planning ahead and leaving bookmarks for yourself, which will give you direction and momentum to make the most of those 10 minutes. Now, I'd love to know what strategies you use to activate your motivation to write. I hope you'll share them in the comments below so we can all experiment with new ways to get momentum and activate our motivation to write. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful day, and I hope to see you in the next video.